Well, good afternoon and welcome. This is the Town of Fort Myers Beach Bay Oaks Recreational Campus Advisory Board meeting, commonly known as BORCAB. We are meeting in the chambers of the Town Hall on Oak Street. It is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025 at 12:03. And I'll call this meeting to order. My name is Betty Simpson and I am your chairman at this time. Would you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We do have everybody here that is a member, but we also have a new gentleman with us, and so I'm going to ask Jeff to start us around the room and give your name and your position, and then let's go on.
Jeff Hauge, Director of Community Services, and I'll let Neil introduce himself.
Morning, Neil Mathis. I'm the Parks and Rec Manager.
Good morning, Michelle Cherney.
Becky Guidry.
Betty Simpson.
Barbara Hill.
Ed Schoonover.
Joy Sullivan.
And Karen is excused absence.
I'm sure that she will be here momentarily.
No, she had some family in town, so she won't be here today.
Oh, she will not be here? Okay. All right. That brings us to item 3, approval of the minutes, and I believe everybody has received the February 19th, 2025 minutes. May I have a motion for approval?
I'll motion to approve. Becky Guidry.
Becky?
Motion and second, Michelle Cherney.
Okay, and we have a second, okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. I don't think do we have any public
Madam Chair, I'm
comment?
going to ask that Frankie comes up before my staff liaison report.
Okay.
To talk about the RGP2, or the CDBG RDR bucket pool, just to give a quick update. So before I start my staff liaison, I'm going to have him come up.
Okay. Good, thank you. Come join us.
Name, please.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Frankie Kropatchik. I'm the Compliance and Operations Director for the Town of Fort Myers Beach. My team, basically Jason Freeman and myself and Jeff, have been working hard to get the CDBGR program underway, and it is a program. We had a good meeting this morning finalizing the initial steps. I know we're all anxious to get into that where we can look at pictures and start looking at possibilities. Unfortunately, HUD, Human and Urban Development Department of the United States government, does not see things that way. So there are plenty of hoops to jump through and barricades to jump over. We're in the final stages of that. So we've done everything that we possibly can. We're just about ready to be given permission to put out for bid. The initial bid that we'll be putting out for the programs that we've asked for through HUD, one of which is the Parks and Rec. They kind of grouped it all into one. However, we have to segment it into thirds. So one is Newton Park, which Jeff alluded to earlier. The other one is the Old San Carlos lighting down the downtown area. And the third is the community pool. So all those projects under their eyes had to be kind of grouped together before we could separate them apart. We're at that point where they're separated. They're reviewing our final documents and we'll be able to go out for bid. The first part of that bid is going to be for planning and design. And when we say planning and design, that's not where we're going to be putting up pictures of possibilities and things like that. It's a selective person that can get us to that point. So before, when you had your park renderings done by DRMP, and they showed you all the possibilities of what this campus could look like, what the community pool could possibly look like, that's going to be a little later on. So when I say a little later on, we're probably looking at June or July by the time we actually have a vendor selected And it'll probably be well after the first of the year before we see somebody come through and give you that beautiful rendering of what that community pool will look like. We had option one, or door number one, and that kind of got taken away from us through the FEMA process, where we would have been actually at that pool by now. But that didn't work out. We found another dancing partner, so to speak, with funding through the CDBGR, and that's the avenue that we've selected. So we have to follow those sets of rules. But we're looking at getting people swimming by this time, or a little later next year, hopefully.
Really?
I don't want to say actually this time, but by the end of 2026, I would
Okay.
think. The pool project, regardless of the design that everyone agrees to, or we can actually fit within the monies that we have available, that's not going to be the hard part. The hard part is actually going to be taking care of the hardscape that's there and giving it a fresh look and trying to still keep the imprint. That's the part of this scenario that maybe doesn't get communicated often enough. We can't change the overall footprint. We can enhance it, we can add to it, we can fix the things that were broken, we can make it more resilient. So is that gonna be a totally different looking space? Absolutely. You know, and everyone will have their eyes on that and make suggestions at the appropriate time. As far as the pool that's there is fine. It just has to be kind of fixed up a little bit. That has to stay, the footprint's there. Same with the kiddie area, that can be reworked, but it still has to have an area for the kiddie area. As far as everything else that we do in that space, that's where the design team comes in. And unfortunately, this is not our wishes, following this step of planning and design. This is through HUD, so we have to follow their procedures. So that's kind of where we're at with the pool, and I'll take any questions that you might have.
When do we, have the input, like, if you said first of the year, you know, there's pictures, but before the pictures, there's input.
Correct.
And so there's a process for
Correct.
the input.
Correct, and again, these are all subject to actually getting a firm in place and conveying some of the ideas. We all know the general ideas of what you had submitted before, under the DRMP things. We have, not only, transcripts of that from past meetings that you've had, input that we've met individually. I know John and I have had plenty of discussions. I think Mr. Schoonover, we've had a few discussions. Barbara, we've had a few discussions. So things like that kind of go into play. We know that it's just not going to be a concrete jungle like it is now. You know, the old 80s community pool, let's just give them a pool, they got it. No, this is going to be a nice place. But is it going to have all the accoutrement that we think it's going to have? We have a budget, and we have to stay within that budget.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think what's gonna, what Frankie's saying is, what's gonna happen is we'll get a design from a company, and then we'll look at that and see where we wanna go from there. It's not gonna be a 3 or 4 year long process of, this is gonna go here, especially having a number of community sessions like we did for Bay Oaks. This is gonna be a quicker process, and to get a
Good.
pullback, this is the money that we got, that we received, and we've been waiting for 3 years, so I don't think the process might look exactly like it has in the past with projects. We gotta move quick on this one, so yes, you'll be able to see the design before we do anything, but I don't think it'll be a design planning stage, as we've seen it before.
that is exactly right, and that's just per HUD. Per HUD doesn't allow you, they're giving you the money to put back your community pool. So in their eyes, that's the community pool. We get the right planner, designer in here, that kind of gives us the wherewithal to kind of tweak it and make it look like we want it to look like, okay? That's where some of the input will come through. And we can have individual questionnaires, things like that we can submit to the planning team. When it all comes down to it, it's not gonna be like a charrette process where you're gonna have, let's take this sticker and put it over here.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we just don't have that
Got it.
time
And I
frame.
just wanna make
Yeah,
that clear,
yeah.
'cause I know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
HUD will not allow that to happen. So under a regular, if we were putting this out for a RFP or a ITB for construction, we would have the wherewithal to do those type of things. But because of the funding is tight and has to be done in a certain period of time, they give you a timeline of when construction has to start, when construction has to finish. We have to meet that construction date. Same with the planning and design. They give us a time when they're gonna allow us to put it out for bid, when we're gonna get that bid back in, the selection that we have to do with the vendors. Everything has to be on a timeline for the federal government. So it may not be the optimal dancing partner, but it's getting us a community pullback.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
And it will move.
What is the overall budget from HUD? What is the funding from HUD
So,
for all of these projects collectively?
For the parks budget? Yeah.
4.3.
4.3
for the
for the
pool.
pool, right.
Oh, for
It was
the
a little over
pool.
Yes.
13
Okay.
for all
4.3
of the
million,
three,
yeah.
yeah.
So 13 for everything and
For,
4
and that included
point-
that included our North Water Tower too.
Right, okay, good,
So
of
you
course.
take that separate, it was, the biggest allotment was for the water tower, followed by the pool, and then Newton Park.
Okay,
And then we had roughly almost $400,000 for safety lighting in the downtown area, from Bayside Veterans Park all the way to Times Square.
oh, good. That's much needed as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
Excellent.
So the timeline, that leads me to what I was gonna say, like, how do we ensure that we fit this timeline? Cause I know that there's been grants that were
HUD.
lost in the past.
Okay, so
HUD will make
that's,
sure of that.
that's the beauty thing of HUD. So HUD has its own project managers who we're dealing with. They're
Okay.
taking all our applications, they're doing all the forms through the county. The county had to supply them, I'll back up. So the county has, just like we have Tidal Basin, they have a project management team in their facility working with the county. They couldn't use them, just like we theoretically couldn't use ours to start a project. We can have ours oversee a project once it gets here. But built into all these documents is that third-party provider. And that's the company that we're dealing with right now, as far as getting all the paperwork to HUD, done by HUD, and back to us. They're the ones that give us the go-ahead, they're the ones that keep us on that timeline. Our internal people that we're gonna have, we say that it's Tidal Basin, but it's not the Tidal Basin that's doing our public assistance work. It's a totally different division of Tidal Basin, and they're regular project overseers. So they'll keep it on the timeline. All that'll be transparent, all that, you'll see it marching along. We can't fall back. If we fall back, the money gets taken away.
That's what I was
Project
afraid
stops.
of.
We
Right,
have
yeah.
weekly meetings to
Okay.
keep us on track as well, so if we have.
With the county, we'll have daily meetings once we actually get
Right
stuff
now,
in-house.
just the plan.
Okay.
Because we have to make sure that invoices get passed along, bless you, ma'am, that invoices get passed along, that everybody is on that timeline. So it's gonna be an all hands-on deck type thing when we get to that point.
Frankie, what is your confidence level with regard to the bids that are ostensibly coming in terms of what we hope to achieve?
Well, we haven't even gotten permission to put bids out yet. So,
Right.
but once they do come in, I think, let me say it this way. When we were trying to do it on our own, and we were just using what money FEMA was gonna get us, as far as what they thought the pool was worth, which was basically like $1.75. That's joke, but they didn't put
It was
much
around
value.
200,000
They didn't
for-
put much value in it as far as
Right.
helping us rebuild it. So we still have to claim that, even with the HUD project, we have to use whatever money we did get from FEMA and put that at the top end. That's why it wasn't a $5 million for each project like we asked. They discounted based on what monies we do get from
Well,
FEMA.
that's fair enough.
But the confidence level, when we, and Jeff and his staff were putting things out for bid, seeing if a contractor could come in and at least get the pool equipment up and running, and get another contractor to do the hardscape, and try to get it piecemeal back together, we had plenty of interaction with vendors. They just weren't vendors that could do the whole job. So when you get a design firm in here, engineering and design firm, one thing, they're credible. They're coming in here, they're putting their stamp on it. That will open up the day. And John has some experience in this too. When you're putting an Olympic-sized pool, you're not calling Acme Pool. You're calling one of the premier pool builders that specializes in Olympic-sized pools, and they know that network of people, and they feed into that.
Okay.
So they have a lot broader base to reach out to than we do just throwing it in the newspaper.
And just if I may, Madam Chair, we need to vote to have John speak during this and have a vote, so if we have to allow him to, or you guys have to vote to allow him to do it virtually.
I'll make a motion to accept John
Yeah.
virtually.
Yeah, thank you, John, for that.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay,
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
now
All
he's
in
chomping
fa-
at the bit.
All in
Aye.
favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
All right, John, you're in.
You're good.
Boy, I'm ready to talk now.
Yeah, and I don't want to,
Yeah.
I just wanted Frankie to come to give everyone an overview. He kind of outlined the process, and we'll get into kind of the meat and potatoes, later on in meetings. But right now, we're just trying to get through the review processes to even get the money. So we haven't even thought about design. We haven't really thought about much. We've thought about it, of course. Everyone in here has, but we haven't got to the point where we've been reaching out to anybody. And the problem is, if we consult with somebody, then we can't use them for a construction partner. So we have to be very careful with that. you can't consult and be the company that gets it, the GC.
Right, that
does
was
the
made clear to us in our meeting today when we were going out, like I said, we're at that final hurdle stage. Whatever design engineering firm that we hire or comes to work for us on this project can't also be the one that constructs it. It has to be two separate entities. And they do that to protect not only the process, but also to protect us. So we're not getting sold a bill of goods and thinking that, oh yeah, these guys, look at this, and then you end up getting a kiddie pool, you know?
Sure.
So they're doing that for our good, and we're doing it for our own good as well. And keeping everything transparent, once the process does start, that keeps everybody on the up and up as well. So involvement may not be what you thought possibly, but again, we know from our discussions privately and that what everyone would love to have into that project. And I will make certain that we do have the opportunity to submit ideas as that process starts to come. So no one is gonna be left out, but
Well,
we just can't do the
have a very
charrette thing.
specific footprint, not only in terms of, land, but also in terms of location of the pool, and so a lot
Yeah.
of that decision-making is not, up for
Right,
discussion.
the pool
It's gonna be
proper,
more
yeah,
aesthetics.
It's gonna be aesthetic, so the hardscape goes away, more lush areas.
Right.
We can do things with, public interaction facilities, like up in front, instead of maybe just having a locker room facility, having a locker room refreshment area, having more nicer placed seating for moms, dads to have a conversation while their children are at the pool or vice versa. So a more interactive type environment.
Is the slide off of the table?
No, actually,
Because it's
wouldn't
so,
mind doing multiple slides.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Because they're so costly to maintain.
Well, the metal
Um,
ones are. The one that was here that's just basically rotting
Oh my
away.
God, that was a
um,
nightmare.
Yeah, but there are a lot of options. And we knew that from going through the last process when we were gonna try to get things together to bring to you and say, hey, we've got this funding source available to us, and this is the route we could go. Again, that got pulled out from underneath us, and we weren't able to go that.
And over the past 3 years,
So.
we've heard from numerous residents about what they would, they prefer there. And one of the things for us is revenue, and that, like it or not, that slide produces a lot of revenue for
It's a huge
the
rev.
bus loads that come in.
Yeah.
And I know the same thing with the obstacle course was not great because it took away lanes, but man, that brought in a lot of revenue with kids coming in. So.
And to Jeff's point too, after hours, once those school buses stop coming at the 4 or 5 o'clock hour and they go back to wherever they came from, adult time. So you
Right.
have you would have a beautiful place where you could do maybe outdoor events. Say you got a small convention here in
Oh,
town,
right.
you could lease that pool area and have a little cocktail hour. Or a nice lush area.
Right.
And that's kind of what we've envisioned for, a multi-purpose pool. You're gonna hear that, last year it was resilience, trying to make everything more resilient. Now it's gonna be more multi-purpose.
Quality
Things
of
that meet
life.
the needs of a group of people instead of just a group of people.
And I think you're gonna see that throughout the town. I mean, even with Bay Oaks, and we'll talk about that in a second, the Bay Oaks Park. We could have just built a softball field, but that's 1 or 2 dimensional, I think we went with an open green space because it's got a multitude of
Possibilities,
Possibilities.
absolutely,
Good.
absolutely.
And we want the same thing for every option. So getting into this and having that federal partner, so to speak, they're giving us the wherewithal to create those multi-purpose areas. Where before we might have just been, singled in of, hey, we have to do this because that's the way it's been done. Or, I have to have a tree here because that tree was there since they built it. Not saying that that's not gonna happen, but it's gonna happen and it'd be more conducive to everyone participating.
Well, in this pool, you had the original duct tape we used the first time. Put it
Yeah.
all together.
So, but we will try to engage this committee and their members as much as we possibly can as we go through the process.
Yeah, it'll be talked about much more here in the near
Yes.
future, as far as when we get done.
But you're fairly confident by the end of 2026 that pool will be open.
I have that feeling. I have that feeling that it's not gonna be that, it's a $4 million project. So don't let the price tag scare you. There's a lot of concrete that has to be dug up there.
Right.
I'm not a fan of hardscape. This isn't a
Me too.
competition pool, this is a community pool. And I didn't mean that in a bad way, John, please don't take it that way, but, in retrospect, and how it fits into the community and how the community grows around that space, we have to have it conducive to the kids. You wanna have a side walkway amongst the trees and lush growth, and maybe have a little little areas so that people with dogs can come and play in a little splash pond. All these things can be incorporated into a space that doesn't interfere with the things that used to happen. The people that did the laps,
Yep.
the people that did the water aerobics.
Right.
That's not going to impede any of this. It's just going to enhance the overall look of it. You know, it's sort of like I'm a diehard Cubs fan. I'm from Chicago, and a new team comes in there, a new president comes in there, and the next thing you know, where he came from happened to be on the East Coast, and they had this big green thing in the outfield, and they called it the Green Monster. Well, you go to Wrigley Field now. Wrigley Field has a big green monster
There
in
you
left
go.
field.
That's Wrigley.
So it's not what I grew up with, but it does add to the aesthetics. It does add to the draw. We're not putting up a green monster in the pool.
Good.
But, you know, it's along those lines. It's not going to be what the pool looked like. It's going to be what the pool looks like, you know, the wider vision. And that's kind of what we all have to keep in mind.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Frankie. I know you hate to talk, so it's
I do.
Very good, thank you.
Thank
you
you
for
so
having me.
much. This
Thank
was
you.
so
Thank
incredibly informative. Much
You
appreciated.
bet. I think we learned a great deal.
And I'll keep my other staff report brief, and then I'll let Neil kind of introduce himself, and you guys can quiz him for the next half hour. So that was the pool. I'll kind of update, and I think we've been talking about it. I just wanted him to come in just to reiterate, you know, the processes, and so you don't think I was blowing smoke. So the Bay Oaks redevelopment, we met with the RMP yesterday. We're gonna get the bid out real soon. We're gonna do it in 2 phases, I think. One is gonna be the groundwork, because we do have a unique situation with all the extra material back there. It was a costly expense when we did it with the general contractor, so we're gonna get somebody that specifies in it, to come do the first quote. We can do it, I believe, is at RFP. I think we've figured that out. So it only has to be out for about 15 days. And then we can award it to get the groundwork done. And then we got a motor to get the other one out and ready to go to get our park. It's gonna, like I said before, it's gonna be a watered down version of what we wanted on the original Bay Oaks redevelopment plans, but nevertheless, it'll be a park. It'll be a green space for them, and we can always go after monies, grants later on to improve it with things that we want. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Again, the deadline is August 31st, which gets me panicky a little bit. Just with, we've gotten shot down twice now to build this thing. I want to get it done, and we're trying to move forward with it to get it done. So
Can you expand on what's included in groundwork?
the earthwork,
Is
just
it
getting it sod ready.
Level. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Raise it about 3.5 feet to grade, and then be ready to have it put sod and pickleball courts in there. I think the way we have it worked out, if we can spare some extra change as well, by saving some money, pickleball courts are not inexpensive to build, but not as expensive as big amphitheaters and things like that. So we think we could fit 8 courts in there now, but we are still only advertising the 4 to suffice for the grant. And if we can fit 8 in there budget-wise, up to 8, we'll do that.
And what is the current timing for A, the town to move, and B, how long is it gonna take to get all those trailers out to start that groundwork?
These trailers, we're gonna start moving them. I mean, we're almost in town hall now, so we've been working with the company to try to come get them out. If not, we'll get them pulled out. At least pull them up to the parking lot up here, get them out of the way. Do that. But we're about ready to be in town hall. We started moving stuff down there. I could technically work from down there right now if we wanted. The second, third floors were great. They were ready to move in almost. I mean, there was minor things, but
So what is the date that you think
what?
is the move date into the town hall?
It depends on the elevator and the fire reviews.
Oh,
So I can't give you that.
Well, where we heard that before.
The elevator is ready. We just need the fire inspection to be completed, so the company that does the elevator work and the fire monitoring can hook up one wire to the elevator. So we're just waiting on that. I think everyone. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna say. So we're just waiting. But yeah, we could be in there. We just have to be ADA compliant, so we need the elevator. But otherwise, it's looking really good.
So the town owns the trailers and the trailers won't be all up, they can just be moved?
They can just be moved, yeah. I mean, this one is what? I think this This one's a quad, so
Okay.
four different trailers in there.
So can you
Okay.
open the, town hall without that parking lot being done? Cause that's not done.
Yeah, we can, just like the businesses that were there, they only had the one parking lot,
Well,
so we
but,
could open, but,
but yeah, there's no parking
Where would you
for
park?
people like us,
yeah.
and Bayou, advisory board members.
They're working on it, they're working on it, Andrew Site Works, or, I don't know if it's Andrew Site Works, but the company's been down there, I saw them there today, they had to do some surveys, and we'll get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's gravel or shell for now, I don't, we'll get a parking lot in there.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Bay Oaks, they're pouring the flooring second week of April. He said it should he said at first 2 to 3 weeks, now he's saying 3 to 4 weeks, so we're looking at, and then after that they have to put in, they can't put any of the toilets in, they can't put any of the partitions in, we can't put any equipment in until the epoxy's set, so the 3 to 4 weeks. But, they'll start pouring it second week, April 7th, right?
Yep.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So, not too far from now, and we'll have some flooring in there at least. And then once they're done with that, then they'll set all the toilets, the fixtures. We'll get our gym equipment in there, and hopefully it'll be in by then.
So May-ish.
Hopefully May-ish, yeah. I think initially I said the end of May, in our meeting is last week, and I want that to be the case. So
And of course,
Good.
last month we heard April.
We did
so-
hear
April.
I
You
wrote
did
down
mention-
April.
You did say April last month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the minutes.
still a
April's-
possibility.
It's the
Real
island.
strong. It's not real strong possibility.
Where are we at in the, engineering reviews of possibly looking at raising that gym versus keeping it?
We don't even have any anymore. We're not gonna get the FEMA money that we had hoped. The insurance money, obviously, to raise something like that, I think it's kind of I wouldn't say it's dead in the water, but it's not really on the table anymore.
So the gym's gonna stay in the current location?
Correct.
Are we looking at the layout of that, because that was not a very good, it was hard to move in there.
Well, the two courts have to be the same.
No, I'm talking about the gym equipment.
Yeah, it's just a space issue.
No, even you might have to do a little bit less equipment, you couldn't even maneuver between some of the machines.
Yeah, that's the catch-22. People were bringing up concerns we didn't have the right equipment. We didn't have this, we didn't have that, so we try to
Right.
accommodate everyone. And really, it's never really packed in there. I wish it was, but it's not.
Even if it's a little hard to move between them, you can still use them.
Correct.
Use is the issue.
Well, you've got, and I'm new, so maybe so when I was in there, it's like you had all the equipment packed in there, the workout equipment, and then you had the extra room with the bikes, but then you have the 2 spin rooms. Is there, where Sue does her classes, there's that room back in
Those
there?
are multi-purpose rooms.
The multi-purpose
Yeah.
rooms, okay.
So the bikes get moved out for various things, whether we do our after-school programming in there. It used to be the art room at one point, so those are multi-purpose. Those aren't weight room kind of
Okay.
things. And we have, we do meetings in there, we have parties in there, those kind of things. So there's no way to do equipment in there.
So we're just taking all the same equipment and putting it back exactly the way it was?
Similar equipment, yeah.
Is there any way to protect it?
So we are coming up with some ways to, we can't obviously raise it 3 feet off the ground.
Right.
But if we could get blocks and raise it a foot off the ground, 2 feet off the ground, we're gonna try to do that with jacks and blocks. So, of course, we always think resiliency, because this is our 3rd time doing this, and we don't wanna do it again, but for a company to come and move it, I'm not sure that's,
Like every time?
I don't know if we would have that kind of time. So we're gonna try to raise it up a little bit. We always have grand ideas of raising up the floor, or
Of course.
building onto it, or building a new gym, which we had in the phase 3 part
We
of
did.
the strategic plan. The reality's kind of hitting us with the finances. We're just gonna do what we can do, and yeah, we could do less equipment, but then we hear it on the other side. So I don't know what's the better.
Well, I just
The
think,
lesser
I
two
think
evils.
we need to look at you could not even walk between a couple of pieces of this equipment, so whether or not maybe you have to go with a couple less spikes on the other side, you couldn't move when you first walked in, you couldn't even get between the pieces of equipment.
Okay. Well, we did have what was his name? the guy you contacted?
Oh, Mark with.
Yeah, he came out and they did a
Yeah,
layout
we've got
for
like
us,
a
and they
layout.
designed gyms, so I don't know where else we can go with that.
If it's a little bit different than where it was, I'm just saying that where it was, if we had a chance, that some things might need to be moved, cause you, on the right-hand side, you cannot walk between those pieces of equipment.
I think the issue is like then you take out like the light machine or you take out the vac machine or like, you know, like that's why people go there is they have to have something that works. Parts, like all the different pieces of equipment are important.
Yeah. And that's not the first time I've heard it's cramped in there, but that space that we're put in.
Right.
We can look at it again and have them try to redesign it. You're right, it's cramped in there, and I don't know what other design besides taking out pieces.
Well, there seems like there's a lot of room where the not the bikes, the running machines are, and then maybe even just a couple pieces of equipment moved into the other
Well,
side.
we'll definitely.
I just think it's worth looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There wasn't much room in.
That room is really used for a lot of other things, with the picture of the mural.
No, he said she's talking about the treadmill room.
No, the treadmill.
I
But
see.
even that, like
Yeah, the
I,
other
I
rooms
have to
you can't
crawl
move
over the
into that.
treadmills just to turn on the lights. Like it's still cramped in there.
I think that's just the way. Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
go
And
the
with
other
the
way.
door
if you
that
can't
has
go
to be
that way,
shut.
move. You know.
Oh, yeah.
We've looked at it, trust me, but we can look at it again for sure.
Good.
Hopefully it
Alright.
can be raised a little bit. I know people are like, oh, just move the equipment out every time a tropical storm comes through, and I mean, we all know how that.
I mean, it'd be impossible for us to haul it off island, which is what we need to do. Find a storage facility. Once
have
you
to go
get
in
it,
a
once you
trailer.
get it to like a public storage, how do you move around that heavy equipment into a storage locker? And we're not going to do it in the first floor, I'll tell you that. But we're going to try to find somewhere where we can have a pulley system or something that, you know, we even thought, you know, we put a pulley on the ceiling and see if we could pull it, you know, up
Yeah.
and keep it. I don't know if it would hold. We'd have to get an engineer in, but
I would put as a follow-up though, cause I did it. I woke up 2 nights before that second hurricane, I'm like, I'm not losing everything. And I got a moving truck to get, I know it's not gym equipment, there are companies that will take it and keep it on the truck. I mean, all we're looking at is a few days, you know, to get through the hurricane and then we can bring it back. Versus losing, how much equipment are we putting in there? How much the cost on that? It's gotta be a couple $100,000,
40 to 60,000.
40 to 60,000. Well, in my case, I've got that much furniture and it costed me $5,000 to have it picked up, brought off island, and then 2 days later I said, come on back.
Wow,
mean,
that's
so-
how much it was. That's not bad.
2,500, yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
round trip.
It
I know
was
for them-
$12.50 each way.
I don't.
then
Yeah, and we
it-
could look at the company that does it because they charge us a lot just to move it in there.
Especially because.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like $2,000 to move it in.
Well, so you're looking at $2,000 to move it in, 4,000, you got storage
If
a
they-
couple days.
Yeah.
It's worth, in my case, like I said, it was worth versus losing everything, it was worth every dime I spent,
Sure.
so.
If they're able to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Good.
Yeah, we'll have to find the gym. Because the company we used didn't want us moving it at all. He said you'll wreck it, and then you're better off. You're gonna have to rebuy stuff once you bend.
That's a
the
problem
metal.
too, right?
So then, but we can look at it for sure.
Because they're all calibrated, aren't they,
Right.
with regard, so I guess that's somewhat sensitive.
But we can definitely look at it. We are working on our hurricane prep right now with our staff, so we're going through trainings, making sure everyone has their FEMA trainings, talking about emergency plans. Of course, we'll be having that meeting end of April. Hopefully, end of April, we can move into our new building. So we're working on that. That'll part of it, ordering supplies, getting all that ready. We're doing that town-wide, so we're doing our hurricane prep, just like everyone else should be around here. So,
It's year round.
Huh?
Doesn't really matter if it's March or April. It's year round. We're
True.
always preparing.
True. So, what else?
Okay, can we hear from you, Neil?
Yeah,
Sure.
Neil, go ahead.
All right. Well, just want to say how excited I am to be here. This is my 4th week here, so just been great kind of getting me up to speed with all the projects. You know, I knew it was going to be a big challenge coming out just with the way things are right now, but it's something that I'm looking forward to and just trying to jump right in. And we've been meeting with a lot of different companies as far as getting things kind of squared away at Bay Oaks. So that's exciting. just really excited. My background is aquatics, so getting into the pool once we get the companies out here. I ran aquatic center for the city of Deerfield Beach for 6 years. That was a Olympic size facility with 50-meter lanes. So I still got a lot of connections from that, and I know we can't change the footprint of the pool, but we can certainly make it like a destination. We had a lot of college teams and club teams that would train with us in the winter that would come down. So you're a little limited with some of the larger teams coming down, but I think there are some clubs, and we also can just improve the way the pump room and all the equipment and what we use for chlorine, what we use to control the pH. There's just all the way that pool is designed with all the little tiles and all that stuff.
Yes.
We can make the design a lot more of like a commercial, newer type of commercial design, and get rid of all that tile and make it so you're not having all these problem areas right away to have to repair, and just a much stronger design that will last and just hold on much better than what is there currently.
Currently?
Well, not running, I should say, but yeah, just excited, and then just all the other, the Newton Park, getting that back up. I know how important this park is to the community. Believe it or not, I used to play soccer out here as a kid when Lee County had a recreation soccer league. I was with the Bonita Springs Barracudas, but you had the Fort Myers Beach Stingray Soccer Club, so we would always play games out here. That's long gone, no longer, but yeah, I think we can do a lot of programming and kind of enhance that as well. I know we've got a lot of programs that are our staples that we want to get going right away, and hopefully we will draw some more families back out here, because I love doing recreation for not just adults and seniors, but the kids as well. So but yeah, I've got a lot of background with Parks and Rec, and I've also been a lifestyle director locally. So when Jeff talks about the multi-purpose field, I think doing events there, concerts, it really does open up a lot of opportunity to bring in so many different programming and special events, because you want to really highlight this park, and having bands come in. It's exciting. So I've got a lot of ideas. I want to give
One
you
of the
everything
reasons-
right at once, but yeah, definitely looking forward to what it's going to be once we get everything back.
Yeah, and one of the
Good.
many reasons we chose Neil for this job is his. We're gonna get a new aquatic center here, hopefully by the end of the year, 2026. And Neil has a lot of experience in working with pools around here for sure, whether it's Fort Myers or Bonita or Deerfield Beach, and he's redone some pools, so he's up to date on all the latest and greatest. And I really wanted someone in, because that's going to be a spotlight of ours for the town. Really someone to come in that has a lot of experience running them with staff, and running larger staffs than we'll even have. So it's reassuring that it'll be run the right way. It'll be maintained the right way. So I have a lot of confidence in Neil to do that. And then on the other side is Bay Oaks, and he's had a lot of experience. He's been around Parks and Rec and pools. You get to know programming of kids, adults, seniors, and he was a lifestyles coordinator for a community, and he did all those things. He did special events, he did things for kids, seniors, everybody. So we're excited to have him here. He's already taken a lot off my plate, which is great, and I really enjoy that. And hopefully I'm around enough, here to help you out as we go. But he is doing a great job
Good.
with everything. So.
Thank you.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
Question
Okay.
about social seniors, since we're talking about programming. Is that going to be something that is going to be programmatically active in the future, or?
that's one of the.
Several people have been asking me
BOSS
about it, and
program.
I didn't
That's
have
one of the
any
main
information.
programs we want. I mean, obviously we'll have the kids program, the after school program,
Right.
but BOSS, there's a couple. Some are easy. We talked to Sue and a couple of the other instructors to be ready to come in and do their
Yeah.
classes. And then I just talked to her this week actually, and the other one is the BOSS program. We actually have it out, so if anybody's watching and interested, we have it on our website as a coordinator position is open for the
Okay.
BOSS program. We do have a few staff that have worked with Danielle before that
That's
went
what I
on
was gonna
trips.
say, Danielle's position.
Yeah, went on trips and those kind of things. So we do have some staff internally that we could start some things, some kayak tours. We could work with Mound House, to help out with those. Some bike riding events, maybe some dinners. Some of the easier ones that we could schedule for the BOSS program, but we are hiring right now a coordinator to run those programs. And Neil, we talked. He's more than willing to start the program up if we don't have everybody in place by then and get it going. So that's one of our big pushes. That's honestly I mean, you look at senior softball. That's a huge program. I mean, right now it's not ours. We do kind of partner with them, but you get 40 some people out
I
there.
know.
I mean, that is just incredible.
That's perfect.
So
You bet.
we know that that's not aging anybody, but that's the population when we're going. So I mean, there's not as many kids on the island. We're still going to push, for residents at least. We'll push for guests. We'll talk to Pink Shell. We'll talk to Margaritaville, other places that have it, and try to partner with them to get people down here and use our facilities. But we know first and foremost we're here for the residents, and we want to make sure the programs are there.
Does that
Well,
also count with I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll say instead of just the after school program, like other kid programs. Like I know
Yes.
there was the teen program at first. And some of us, our kids are getting a little older.
I know, and we've struggled the last, even pre and getting teens in our teen program. We get one or two to sign up for the trips, and we're always trying again. We'll try again. We'll keep trying. So hopefully the programs are enticing enough where the kids want to come down. And I think if we had a look on your phone for 2 hours class, it would be full.
Right.
But
Tell us.
we try. So we'll be creative in that, but yeah, we want to make the rec center usable for everyone.
All ages.
So the other thing is, I'm trying to get a hold of somebody from the school district. I'm sorry, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. To try, there isn't school there right now. Hopefully in the future there will be. But if we'll even pay for the fencing. If we could block off and use the basketball courts and the playground. It hasn't-
Right?
So I've been trying to get somebody on the phone or emails, but I haven't had that much luck. I'm going to keep trying. We did have an interlocal before Ian to use the playground equipment that the school had, and then we did the land swap, which we bought the new stuff. But
Maybe
some
you
of
could
are
talk
involved.
to the president of the school board,
We can do
because
that.
that's a school board
Yeah.
issue, you just have to go to the.
Yeah. I have some sort of connections there. They just haven't gotten back.
Yeah.
But I'd like that as to use that as the community. I mean, we'll open the gates, we'll lock the gates, we'll help clean it up. Our playground isn't big enough for the older ones. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, they can play on it, yes. Can they? Yes, of course. But
It's not.
the
big
other
enough,
one's
though.
sitting there.
It used to
and-
be open on weekends and after school.
Correct. That's what we want to do. The big
Yeah,
one.
because we used to go there.
Yep. So we'll get there.
They have basketball courts over there too?
Outdoor.
That would be very nice because
It's
the
not like a
guys,
full court though. I mean, it's just like a little.
No, there's
Is it
full
a full
court.
court? I thought it was
Well, have you been over there?
not
It's
lately.
it's a fuller court. We'll say that. It's not a
Yeah.
full court. When they put the hoops in, they basically put them on the baselines,
Oh.
so it's when it sticks out, it's not. It's a basketball court.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's becoming more and more popular down here.
The play structure itself is much bigger.
no, we brought this up at the
Got it.
last meeting if we could
Right.
open that up behind the school because it is,
I've been trying.
yeah.
Good.
But that would help with the basketball problem, that's why
Well, and they say that would help with the pickleball problem.
it would, that's why I
Yeah.
got a couple follow-ups from the 40 players back there, which one of them is,
Well,
the
but
nets are getting busted up because
also-
they're moving them for
I
the
know.
basketball
Honestly, our
courts.
staff has been running so short. seems like it's on our list to do, and they have maybe 2 of them put together, but we're trying to get there. We have them down there. The new ones are all there. We just have to put them
It
together.
can't take the place of it though. I mean, if it's shared, whatever, but it can't take the place of the basketball courts at Bay Oaks.
No, that'd still have to be an option.
Right.
It's just how
Okay.
it's been.
Well, I'd like to ask John if he would like to say anything, hearing all about the pool and everything.
I am going to reserve that for something I'm going to submit in writing that I can send to Jeff
Okay.
and maybe get that distributed.
All right?
Yeah.
Since there's more time now, obviously, and that's gonna be normal, that there's more time and more time and more time with a pool being built. So patience is the key. I know that Frankie always says, I don't mean to step on John's toes, and then talks about a recreational pool versus one that could be used for training in teams. But I think we'll find that balance now with our new director. And
Okay.
and if we don't, I'll put all kinds of pressure on him directly. So
John just promoted you to
No, but
director.
We
Congratulations.
appreciate that.
Duly noted, Neil.
All right.
Thank you,
Oh, what
John.
does that make me? Gone?
yeah, moving you over
Thanks, John.
and
Appreciate that.
on to the
We'd
next.
like to, I know.
Okay. Anything else then from you, Jeff, at this time?
Not unless you have any questions.
I'll just move on then to the Pocket Park locations.
Any updates? I looked at that property. I mean, it's awesome. I don't know how much.
The second one I sent to you?
Yeah.
Are you talking? Yeah, I don't know either. Well, what do you mean, cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what they're asking.
What are they asking?
I think it's about 650-ish.
That's doable.
Yeah, you sent me that.
Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm.
650 is doable.
650 could be doable. I mean,
And then
not
that's
with
just
cash,
one-
but to a grant. I mean,
Right,
Yeah.
but still, that's just one part of town. I mean, I haven't looked all
Yeah,
over.
no, yeah.
haven't looked
I
all
know
over
we
Fort
talked about it.
Myers
And
Beach.
so
Mm-hmm.
you all were
And the
gonna do
mayor
some-
also brought up some right-of-way areas
Oh,
that were potential, but I don't know what areas he was talking about exactly. Yeah,
I'll have to ask.
yeah, I don't know exactly what he was talking about, but I know all throughout town, there's plenty of right-of-way areas that typically are taken care of by HOAs. You know, that may be not big enough for a full, you know, I still don't think a pocket park is a full-blown park with a ball field and
No,
all
I
that
agree. I
activity.
think
It's
it
more
maybe
of
has maybe a playground, benches,
pavilion,
pavilion.
you know,
mm-hmm.
somewhere
Pavilion,
for
benches,
community to
That's
water.
get
exactly what
together.
I'm envisioning too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a
And
water
someone
fountain.
come that empties the garbage,
Yep.
you know, so the community,
No, I'm
Could
not.
use it.
I'm not talking about a massive park. I mean,
right,
something, you know, even like Newton size is perfect.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
Yeah.
can fit. You know,
so it's not something that I think that you need a huge chunk of land for,
correct.
you know, or a very expensive chunk of land. Doesn't need to be on the water, although another kayak launch in town would be nice, but,
Yeah, we're currently working on coconut kayak launch.
the coconut was kind of put on the back burner,
We actually are contracting with a cement company,
yeah. Okay,
a concrete
Is that the
company.
one at the end of the street?
yep,
That was one that was pretty heavily used
Yeah, it's small.
and heavily damaged.
and heavily damaged.
Yes,
Correct.
very bad.
We're building it up now. We met with them last week, 2 weeks ago. So they're giving us an estimate on what that costs. Yeah, I agree. I think the more parks we can get, the better. I mean, obviously.
And then I think sometimes that it's like between CellCab and BORCAB, you know, it's hard to say, like, if we started expanding parks throughout the town, you know, whose responsibility
And Newton
does it
just
start to happen, right? Because
Cellcab just has Newton because of the historic value that went into it. That's how that got brought apart. And then we have our grant funding went through the Mound House for that land trust. So,
It was Florida state money.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Florida State money, but it was passed through the Mound House, cause it has the
Exactly.
logos everywhere, so.
As a
But
cultural.
even if you look at the Mount House property, I believe there's a kayak launch here. isn't
Yeah,
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
I mean, there's definitely recreation that happens
Yeah,
there.
there's park,
Yeah,
there's.
it's just a
room for
different
park-
budget, that's all.
Exactly, yeah.
But we do beach walks, you know, we'll do those out of Newton now that we're gonna put the parking lot back, which I always say it's coming. Hopefully the shell went in today. They have the parking lot kinda graded and compacted. The shell was supposed to go in today. Our guys are hoping to put the restroom trailer down there by Friday. So,
Very
they'll
good.
have about 8 spots for parking and then a restroom trailer.
And that's all temporary.
That's very temporary, yes. Well,
Very good.
temporary is that's
And
part of the
also
money
I-
that we're getting.
I think I don't wanna point anybody out, but when town, parks are talked about in the town, I mean, we're in a unique situation, so beach access is considered a park. Where I look at parks as it's just where I'm from, I guess, the beach isn't necessarily
A
a
green
park.
space.
Right.
You know, a green space would be a better word for it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And the accesses are actually through Public Works. They're not even a park.
That's under,
Green space or open space.
Yeah.
Public
Yeah.
Works?
no,
No,
the
no,
beach
no.
accesses. 'Cause we didn't talk about that.
Oh, it used to be under Crab.
Right. We talked about putting it under Bayonne,
But,
but it never was officially.
The money we're getting to redo them is all from Public Works money.
So how do we go to the next step to have this piece of property, to check the feasibility of acquiring it?
Yeah, we'd have to probably
Who does that go to next?
Andy and Frankie and myself.
Okay,
We can look at it and just.
do we know it's
And
for
well, no, I shouldn't say that. It always goes to finance first.
Right.
yeah.
To
See-
see what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
Because I think somebody said, one of the councilmen, I'm not quite sure if it was Jim Matterholt, but I think there was some funding opportunities to acquire open space parks, from what I understand.
Same as how we got Newton. Florida
Okay,
Land
same,
Trust.
same kind of thing. So
And
is
that was
this,
about I think the top you could ask for was $1 million.
so is the property actually for sale, Ed?
The particular one
It was
well,
listed.
both of them that we've talked about are for sale.
Yeah, they're listed.
Where are they?
They're
Southend?
both on the south end because
Yeah,
No, and
but
they're
all
that-
within a
but
bike ride
that-
from me.
But
That's
that
where
is-
we need it.
That's
Yeah.
exactly where we need it. I mean, we need
totally
it
agree,
Yeah.
yeah.
on the south end. I mean,
But the other part of it
I'd love
too-
to be able to manage
well,
that huge
This is
green
behind
space that
Lagoon?
used to be the golf course, but
This is behind
John
the
wants
barn.
to talk.
Okay.
Tarpon actually, the second one I'm talking
Thank you.
about, but Lagoon one that you and I talked about, I think John has something to add.
Right, exactly.
I know there's a little delay, so I'm sorry that I don't just
That's
speak
okay,
up.
John.
I know that we had talked, we being me, brought up getting a few pieces of outdoor exercise equipment
Yes.
at some potential places. I know that there's so many projects until everybody focuses on one. It's not something that's going to materialize, but we talked about the beach accesses, even if there's, 2 or 3 square yards available, to put something there. Maybe along the walking path at the Mound House would be, if they would be open to something, just to get more traffic, to get more people out and active. I'm not gonna let my 50-meter pool go, and I really don't wanna let this go either, because, centrally, we have Bay Oaks, but at these times when we don't have Bay Oaks, we lose most of our outdoor and indoor activity space. Is there any movement or possibility of getting some of, the one-off pieces of equipment to, anywhere throughout the town, especially in the south?
yeah, couple things on that. I'm working with the fitness court people who did the National Fitness Court, asking them if they have single one-off pieces, and they said no. They've had a lot of ask for that, so they're trying to think about a way to do that. And those are nice because they're part of it is community grants to pay for it. One would be, I'd love to do it. I'm trying to even get benches to sit on at the beach
Right,
accesses.
yeah.
But talking to our environmental turtle time, or the turtle people will just say, unless there's vegetation in front of it, we can't put even benches there because of the turtles. They can get stuck in the sand. They can get
really?
so. There are a few hurdles that I'm trying to. I think once we get our berm planted and our dune planted in front of all the accesses, then we can go ahead and do things like that. Especially, I just want to get a bench there, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
There used to be 2 benches at the Sterling Beach access.
When we had vegetation, yeah, we can't put them back there until we get vegetation. So it's something we've been talking about, and the gym fitness equipment too. It would be nice, and I did tell them like this would be a good place to start. You know, we have people that could bike from beach access to beach access, even though TDC won't pay for bike racks anymore. We could purchase them.
Why won't they?
That's just
Yeah.
picnic tables and bike racks they won't pay for.
Really?
Anyway.
And then I only had
So
one
yes,
other
so yes,
update
John,
question to ask.
I am looking into that. We've had some good conversations. Again, it's a matter of funding. I'd love to do your 50-meter pool. If someone wants to write a check, we can find some space for it. So.
I like that.
Well, I'm working on that, so let's not laugh yet.
All right. Perfect.
It may not be a check, it may be a donated pool. So,
Excellent.
you know, I'm never gonna let that go until I'm on the deck yelling at somebody to go faster.
Right.
Then my only other question on the beach accesses were, have we completed how many carpets are gonna go out for accessibility?
We know how many. We're not putting them out because the beach renourishment trucks are tearing them
Okay.
apart. So
Right,
we're gonna wait till they're done. You know, that's coming up here soon, and then we do have them. We'll put them out when
Yeah.
that's all done. But that's one of the reasons why we don't have them out. We have them out in a few locations, but they were just getting torn apart, and we have to redo
Right.
them anyway. So.
I'm sure.
okay, well, that's great information for
Yep.
people to know why they're
So we
not there,
do
so
have
thank
them.
you.
We have the signs that need to go up on beach accesses. But once the beach renourishment is done and they're stop tearing up the, not tearing up the accesses, they're doing a good job. But
Sure.
they go up and down and the ruts and everything. Then we'll really focus on putting those back. We started to put the trash cans back. The beach accesses we started on the north end and are working our way south or west and working our way east, whatever you call it. So we're working on it slowly but surely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't have anything else about pocket parks unless you wanna check with Dan and.
No, I just
see
know
what
it was an
right-of-way-
agenda
or
item.
Look into right-of-way areas that could possibly be used for community gathering spots.
Yeah, I don't. I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
I'm open to it. I just,
Yeah,
I'm really open to it. I've said right from the get-go we need something down south
At the south end.
for
That's
sure.
huge.
And there is a lot of land. It's not used, it's just not owned by the town.
Right. A
But
lot of open
if there is
lots.
something that's available that can be purchased by
Sure.
the town by whatever means, I think it's something that we should actively pursue. Talking to the right people in the staff to move
Yeah, and I
that
know
idea
Jason
forward.
Freeman, who's in the back there, he started the process of talking to the Florida Land Trust, and you know we had initially we had put out the message, you know, if you have a property.
Yeah,
Right.
We had a couple, and then they said no to it. So, the owners said no to it, I believe. So, we're actively still trying.
Good.
speaking of, and you're talking about donating the property, that sort of brought up. I mean,
Selling it for
they would sell it to,
yeah,
the
but it
town.
wouldn't, you know. I hate to say there's not a lot you can get for $1 million on the island, but it's limited.
right, so that's your cutoff is $1 million.
Yeah, and I think we had to do did we have to do $1 million match for Newton?
Yeah,
So that's the other hurdle.
yeah, the town bought that with Florida Trust
Yeah.
money.
I believe
So
the town put in
is
$1 million.
It was a match.
Yeah. So that would be the other. Talk to finance first.
I was just in Melbourne Florida last week?
I was too.
You were?
What?
Oh, wasn't that funny?
No way.
Sunshine Law.
But I didn't see her, I
I'm
promise.
just kidding.
No,
Yeah.
but I was surprised at the amount of public pocket parks, all up and down. I mean, you didn't have to go a half a mile before there was another park. So I
Yep.
think, I agree with you. It is something we should definitely explore. Cause it's beautiful, it was beautiful, having, access.
Yeah, no, I would envision, people riding their bikes, they can go from park to park and stop, and I think it'd be
Right.
great. It'd be just terrific. And that's, not everyone swims or, plays pickleball or basketball or softball.
Yeah.
Some people just like to bike and sit
It's
at a
even
park
just-
and read a book.
Yeah,
Right.
people walking their dogs, I mean, it's just somewhere to get a drink.
Yep.
Exactly, a
the-
water
the-
fountain or something.
Exactly.
And we, by the way, Neil's been working on getting, a new water fountain down at tennis courts.
Oh, good.
I
We
saw
have
somebody
one.
drinking from it just as I was
Good.
pulling in at our park up here, yeah.
No, yeah, this one works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the one at the tennis court hasn't worked in
Oh,
years.
that-
I don't know if they'd even worked pre-in, so. We're going to run a new water line to it, so it's a little spendier than we wanted, but
We gotta get it done.
we'll get it done.
Good.
Okay, well, let's move on to item 9, member items and reports. Who would like to start?
I have
Joy,
nothing
do
today.
you have anything?
I don't really have anything either. I know Jeff is busy, but, and his staff is busy. But there's no sunshade yet at, up here.
The fitness court?
No, weren't you gonna put one at the, fitness
Yeah.
area?
The fitness court up here.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
We were gonna have our staff do it, which they're capable of doing things like that. We had an engineer look at it, and now we have to pour a 3-foot square footer in there to put it down because it is a shade sail and it'll either bend or fly away. So we are just waiting on a quote for the concrete company. They said we have to go down like 9 feet.
Wow. Is that what they did at the Veterans?
They went down a long way.
Really?
Yeah. 9 feet sounds excessive, but that's what they're telling me.
Wow.
So they're gonna come dig it out, pour the concrete. We're just waiting on the time.
So
And,
they're put piling it? You're gonna put a piling it?
the footers,
Just footers?
well, which are
Yeah.
basically pilings in the ground pilings.
And the house down the street from us, their panels are 60 feet.
Yeah.
I guess they don't discuss this one.
Wow. It's new standards and
Is that because of hurricane, the new codes now?
And all the dirt is different, like where we.
Yeah.
well, when we redid the field, we went down 1.5 foot and found groundwater.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So it's right there.
Like, what are you
It's-
attaching it to at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point,
yeah.
right?
So that's why the footers have to be so large.
I forgot to mention that my email address is on the Bay Oaks newsletter to ask for volunteers for Friends of. I have gotten 0 emails, so.
So that was my member item. We've gotta do something about this. There is an annual filing fee that's due May 1st for Friends of Bay Oaks for the state of Florida. I know there was money that Danielle had a check for. I don't know what to do. Like, if we don't have anybody contacting you,
Nobody.
we never got the check either. It was like $14,000, I think. I don't know
And
what
our option is just to hate to do it with all the work. If we're not getting anybody, I don't know what else to.
Do we know where the check is?
Is that the one Karen was talking about?
No, that's for Mary Torgerson.
Oh, the 18,000?
It was like 1,000. I thought it was at least
17 or
14
something,
something.
yeah.
But Danielle had it when she was here, but I don't know what happened to it. We never got it.
All right, let me check with finance.
I thought that,
And then that's a separate one from Mary that
Yeah.
I was never considered by the either. So.
I thought you two had somebody you were gonna talk to that possibly might take that on.
And I think
I've never-
John's suggestion last meeting was
John.
to come up with a few, you don't have to say who, but just to talk to a few
Right.
people.
Yeah,
So Jesse's out. Like he wants to put just me on it. He may have turned it over already. So that puts me on his checking account, which
Yeah,
is
and-
sitting there.
Yeah.
I have
don't
two
know- I don't know
people,
how much I
so-
wanna-
John wants to speak.
Okay, John?
Yeah, I have two people and I gave their information to Karen because I wanted to be careful around the sunshine laws.
Yes.
I don't know if there's somebody else that I should forward that to.
I mean, no, I'll check with Karen to see if she has,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, the only thing is that if we wanna start to do any fundraising, we ran into this with Anchorage, cause they're doing an event down at Bayside, is that their members wanted to fundraise, and since they're part of a town advisory board, the town can accept donations, but we can't fundraise for the funds as,
Right.
as an advisory board.
So the 501(c)(3)
That's
is
against our
necessary
charter.
for the fundraising. Even
Yeah.
though they can take donations,
Yeah.
it's not the same thing.
Right.
So it's
We
just
can't,
gonna be like, oh, by the way, I have money to give you.
well,
like,
and we
you
do
need to
have
go
that, I
and
mean, we
solicit
have
it.
foundations, you know, the community fund, the women's club, they reach out and say, the Lions Club, and say, hey, look, we're gonna be putting out, some money, we'd love you to apply, but we can't actively go out and sell raffle tickets or anything like that, so that, we had a big, long discussion about that, and I was like, well, honestly, do we need the Friends, but, because we can accept donations, but if we wanna do any kind of fundraising per
We
se.
certainly need the money. Like everything we talked about, we're like, well, it's not the budget, it's not the budget, trying to do all these.
Oh,
different
I
things.
understand, I mean, we're dealing with the same thing with CellCab and,
Right.
and the underground right now, we need about, we don't even know the amount, well over $1 million to redo the underground.
Probably a couple, maybe 250 million.
Mhm.
I mean, 250. I mean,
I'm thinking millions, cause we're
Million,
gonna have
yeah,
to redo the
250
structure
million.
inside.
Yeah.
no, exactly, and it was $1 million project to begin with.
So,
You bet. That's,
you know, I mean, I'm just putting that 2 cents in, like, if we wanna fundraise, we can't, you all can't go out and say, hey, we're raising money for this, it's just, we can accept donations as a town.
Well, and let me clarify that, because it was really great to hear Andy actually speak about that issue of, people giving contributions
Mhm.
to the town. He said, to your point, we can accept contributions, but we will never designate that as a tax deductible contribution. That is between the donor and the tax.
The amount, it is tax
The amount.
deductible, but the
Yeah.
amount wouldn't be set by us at all.
Right, in other words,
Unless
there's no
it's a check,
acknowledge-
obviously that's easy, but if they donate property or something like that, it would, not actual
then
physical
they gotta put
property.
a dollar amount on.
Basketballs, let's say, or pickleballs, or softballs,
Yeah.
it'd be their value that they put to it. So it is a tax deduction, but it'd be on them to put that amount.
Yes, which I think in the case of a nonprofit organization, you can then say, thank you for this tax deductible I mean, it's really sort of more of an upfront, donation to a nonprofit, which a lot of people think is to their advantage come tax time. But with regard to, the Friends of Mound House, they have that same concern. It's like, at what point do you become duplicating the efforts of the town? But that the town can't actively go out and fundraise, that's the job of the Friends.
The town
Yeah.
charter doesn't allow the council or advisory boards or staff to go ahead and do that.
And
So-
all municipalities are like that.
Cause you are appointed by the council,
Exactly,
so, we'll have to talk about that tomorrow.
yeah.
'Cause
So now we have the
It's a tricky-
checking account sitting there with 2 checks floating around that aren't in it, and now there's an annual filing fee due May 1st. Which, I mean, it's like $61, but still, it's coming out of.
And there's no money in the bank right now?
There was money, I honestly have not touched it, since I signed up with Jesse, I have not even looked at it, so I think he's turning it over to me, I'm gonna have to go over to Sandcap, I guess, and figure out what's up. But
Really
I
need
know
what?
that we donated money to, there was a basketball tournament,
Yeah,
and there was $1,000 that went into that, with the understanding there was also like a $14,000 check that was coming back to.
I'll see,
the
cause I remember
town
that,
was.
I think it was more than that, but,
It could be,
I don't know if Sherry
so I
must
don't know
not be
how much is
watching,
actually
so
left,
should
cause I think
tell
there's
me.
only
Mm.
1,500 to begin with, and then 1,000 came out for this basketball tournament.
So if you have to do this filing fee, how
It's like
much is that?
$61.
Okay.
So it's not
And the other-
terrible, and it
the
pays
other
for the
tricky thing
year,
is-
but.
The reason we're talking is because you guys already started this, I mean, it wouldn't, not necessarily don't take this the wrong way. BORCAB's say in what we do with it, you know, it's the friends that. we need to-
Correct.
Yeah, BORCAB
That's
doesn't
what, I
have
don't want
any,
it, I don't.
I know, we're trying to get you out of it because
Right,
we
I
already
know.
kind of, we spoke
But then
about
who
it.
do you, like she said, nobody's even contacting her, you
No.
know?
Can I, wait, so,
I had one person that sent me an email, and he was on the senior softball, and he's not interested in leading. He said he would
Right.
participate.
yeah, and I've reached out to a couple people who said the same thing, cause they're not full-time residents. I thought we had a follow-up that they thought we had a couple people that might wanna lead it. So you, no,
I don't have
I'm
any
looking at-
leaders.
I'm
Oh,
looking
you're
at
looking
John.
at John?
John, did you guys, so if we get those, are either one of those looking to lead that?
Yes, they're interested in being board members and being active.
So we need
Wow.
so who
And,
can
and
make
my
that?
question is, how many do we need for that board to be viable?
four, right?
President,
Five?
vice president, treasurer, secretary.
I think it
Is there
should be an
15?
uneven number, right, if, for voting purposes.
Yeah. 5?
Okay,
I don't know if it, does Friends of Bay Oaks have a charter, or, I mean, like a,
They did at one
they
time have
bylaws,
bylaws.
that's what I'm thinking of, bylaws.
Yeah, they have bylaws.
That would tell
they-
you how many had to be in it.
Right,
okay, okay.
Um,
I'm sure it's the
I wish-
base
I wish it
amount,
was
so it's
only like
probably
3.
the 3 or 4 directors or executive directors and maybe 1 at large.
right.
That's a pretty normal nonprofit
Yeah.
when it's starting. We are an advisory board. I don't know who we advise at this point, but I would advise that we nudge that filing fee happen so that we're not in a situation where some people do come forward over the next period of time
Right.
and they have to start from scratch.
No, I agree, it gives us the year.
Because a lot of work went into this.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't,
And I don't want
that
it
would be
as
the,
long as-
my last resort, just to let it go again, and I don't,
Yeah.
It took a lot for Jesse to get it back up and
Yes.
running.
Yeah.
But no, I agree, I mean, it's $61, it's not like it's thousands, you know?
Yeah.
I do need the other
And-
checks to put it in there.
Right.
I'm gonna go, I don't wanna go.
I-
without-
President Howie Howard, doesn't that sound good?
Howie.
Wouldn't that be great?
Howie.
I don't think he wants to do it.
But he'll participate,
Oh, yeah, he'll
and
be
we
on
know
it.
he will.
Oh, yeah.
But if we can get that filed and I can keep my challenge out to everybody to try to find some more people. I don't want to load the board myself, but I will go find 3 more
No,
so
I
that we
found-
can,
I've
we
got
can
2
start, we can
interested.
try.
Yeah,
I've got 2
Okay, great.
interested, they just don't wanna lead it.
Perfect.
good,
Awesome.
good.
Well, we need to get that filed. Becky, would you do
He
the
sent it to me
filing?
yesterday, yes.
Okay,
He sent me
great.
the coupon, so I just have to go to Sandcab and,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll write the
Thank
check
you.
and send it
Cool.
out, and then if you could follow up on those 2 checks, Jeff, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
One of them
Good.
didn't involve you, it was Karen and Mary. I can ask Karen about
That
it.
was from 2022
Yeah,
or something, wasn't it?
I think.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 or something, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So
follow up.
do we need Karen to look at these resumes, or these people?
No.
To
She's just,
I
not
think
just,
it's
she's
really
just the,
Okay.
it's your board, it's your advisory board, she's just the liaison
Liaison.
from town council, just like
Okay.
I'm a staff liaison.
Yeah.
I don't have a voting member, she doesn't have voting rights, so it'd be you guys to lead.
approve this person that runs it, we would approve that.
Actually,
No,
no.
no, no,
it's
actually, we
just-
don't at all, we have
we-
nothing to do with it.
We have nothing to say
They have
about
to
any
start
of
it.
that. Friends
Okay.
is totally separate.
Yes, yes, good point,
Mm.
it's not us at all.
Yeah,
Our
not at all.
responsibility is to advise the council on issues.
Right.
Their responsibility would be for us to ask them and give them projects or a budget, say, can you guys donate or
Goals,
go fundraise
fundraising
for
goals.
us for these particular things.
So maybe I said my question wrong, how do we get one of those 2 approved to get this rolling?
They get the checking account, they'll have to start
There's
the
no
whole friends.
approval required.
No approval required,
No.
so,
We just trust them.
Well, I think somebody has to come forward, like, front of us is like, they come forward and go, hey, I'm gonna be president
Right.
now, give me all your money.
Well, they have to be vetted, if you will, but I trust John.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Friends of Bay Oaks has nothing to do with the town. It's not a
Yeah.
town-run anything.
Exactly.
So they are I guess technically a fundraising arm of Bay Oaks, but they don't have any. They can't come up and say, "Hey, I want to use this money for additional
Yes.
staff or whatever." It's the staff of Bay Oaks and the rec department to say, hey, we need money for this. They can't dictate anything that we do as far as staff or budget.
Yeah, that I get. So I've got 2 people interested. Who do I tell them to call, or what do I do to get this rolling? I got 2 people interested. John's got 2 people interested. Where do we put them? Is what I'm asking. Where do we put them?
Well, I don't
Well,
think it.
So,
I
so
think we,
Denise Monahan was the originator of
Yes.
the Friends of Bay Oaks.
Right.
And she's ran it for years. This was before the town incorporated.
Okay.
And so, there's the backstory with regard to the historic, precedent that had been set with regard to the meetings that they had. At the point where you have volunteers that are willing to restart this Friends, she would be more than happy to help. So when we get those
Okay.
4 people perhaps,
Right.
together, she'll come and she'll give them what the bylaws were at the time, but then those 4, independent of the Friends, or of our advisory board, would then have to meet and then form their own board.
So can
Right.
we, as somebody on BORCAB, like, can John help facilitate that meeting there?
Yeah.
Does that matter?
yeah, it doesn't, no, that doesn't.
Okay.
As long as it's not both of you doing it. You know, that's
Right.
why we didn't want advisory.
Oh, no, I don't
board.
want it, don't you worry.
I know you don't, but no, I would think that's appropriate.
I think between, those that have
You want it?
brought a couple of people in, and, Becky's having the books and Denise
Yeah.
having the history, if
Right.
those people
One
can get
meeting
together,
or a couple
You bet.
meetings.
exactly, then
Yeah.
the ball will be rolling.
I feel like we're at least in a better direction now than we have been in the last several
Yeah.
months.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Yeah.
now that it's established, I can pay the filing fee, cause I have a check anyway, so I can do that without even going to the bank. So I'll pay that, get it postmarked, and then I'll
Right.
follow up with Karen about that check if you could follow up.
And I'm
with that
happy
other
to meet
check.
with them too. I just can't.
That would
I
be
just
great.
can't be involved in their.
Or maybe
What?
Neil
Administration.
can,
I think it'd be helpful
meet
just to have
with them.
somebody explain things.
Oh yeah, initially,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Be great, to have staff.
get the ball rolling. And they're probably gonna want to meet at Bay Oaks,
Sure.
which I'm sure would be accommodating.
Do we know if Denise is up for the helping us?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I've talked to her.
All right. So, do John and I give these people to Denise?
Can
I mean, I think we need
Becky,
to
are
have
you-
a meeting.
you can give them to me, and I'll talk to Becky, and we'll
That's fine.
send them to
Okay.
me.
Good,
Okay.
good.
Just gonna
Will do.
suggest that.
I want
Good.
limited.
Yeah, we don't
Yes,
wanna
I can't-
go between
not too much.
ourselves.
Give it to
That's
Neil.
the-
No, I mean he's a town employee too. We're not. It's not an advisory board to the town, so
Right, exactly.
It's just
You
starting.
it'd be
can't-
like
you
us
can't-
working for the women's club.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't.
do
you
that.
So does
can't
Eels mail you the
Exactly.
contact information with people that are
And
interested?
we'll set up some kind of
Okay.
meeting
Okay.
to get the ball rolling. I know how Becky will get to rip it out of her hands, but
I know.
Joy, did you have anything else to
No.
add to yours?
No,
thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I already.
Circling back.
Yeah, no, Jeff answered my question to my satisfaction.
Are you happy with the answer?
Yes, I am, well, I'm not, but it's not his fault.
Well said.
You wanna
Yes.
try again?
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Barbara?
I don't know if I didn't hear any update on the lighting for the sign out front.
We just got the permit today
Okay,
to
so,
do the work. We had a little issue with, like everything else, we have a little issue with this. Yeah, we don't have any power at
bulbs?
the
No,
pool.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah. No, it's not amber lighting. No, we gotta put new bulbs in. We do have to get new bulbs, actually. You're right.
Oh, you do?
Amber bulbs, because we can't have the color. They just got regular ones. But turtle season's coming. We don't have any. We got no. We don't have any power at the
Don't got
pool,
none.
and that's the closest place to run the power from. So I think they're gonna re-energize the transformer, or take it from, just run new conduit from the concession stand and run it that way. But they're gonna put a timer switch on it and everything. So.
Great,
Yeah, we just got it today. Gotta pay the permit fee and.
all right. Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
That all you
Debbie.
had? Okay. Thank you.
I have nothing else, thank you. I have nothing else.
Nothing else? All right. Well, hearing nothing else,
Agenda items
Pardon?
Agenda items for next month, just, I think, a continuation of the Friends, if we can get
I think,
Get
Neil, if you could
update from you.
research, companies to move the equipment, was a suggestion from Michelle, during a storm. We'll give you an update on that on
Hopefully you
next
can
time.
get in touch with somebody at the school board, they'll call you back
school board.
about the
Get you an update
playground.
on
Yeah,
that.
the playground.
And if somebody that'd be great, to contact them, she can't be involved. for
Yeah, right,
A few more
that's-
months, so.
And Jeff, if you could just check into the right-of-way issue and.
Yeah, I have that down to talk to.
I don't know who is an
Mayor Allen.
expert at LEPA or whatever to look into other properties. I certainly am not, plus I'm a little restricted time-wise on
Yeah.
researching that type of thing, but I know my own neighborhood,
Right, and
you know.
So I've got one that I'm looking at, but my concern would be is there's no parking there.
Yeah, and that's always gonna be, and another problem that might come up is, not every neighborhood's gonna want a facility,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
it's right next door
Agreed.
to them,
Agreed.
but, you know. I know I talk to people in our neighborhood and they're all for it, so,
everyone wants it in somebody else's neighborhood,
somebody
right?
else's backyard, yeah. If you could just at least find the right-of-way properties, you
Yeah,
know, 'cause
I'll see what he's-
I'm not quite sure what he was talking about either.
But you've got the follow-up in the one behind Lagoon, behind the creek back there. We've got that one on the list? Or do we?
Is that the
Wait,
one?
Yeah, Jeff knows that that one's
Yeah.
on the market,
Laguna, is it on a street that's, I mean,
that one's on Lagoon,
Laguna?
It backs
Lagoon.
up,
Lagoon.
it
Lagoon
backs up to the
L-A-G-O-O-N.
golf course,
Oh,
Main
right?
Street,
that's,
yep.
that's the street you live on, right? Okay.
Yep,
So was it like open land? Was it a house there?
it was a condo, I
It was
believe,
a
It's a,
Yeah.
it's a decent chunk of land, too.
it is,
Wow.
yeah.
So there's a lot of empty lots throughout the island, so I was wondering kind of what we're looking at.
Right.
Well, I love that
Have to put a
idea.
really noisy skate park or something in.
Pickleball
No, I'm just
courts.
joking,
love
but anyways,
that.
I'm kidding,
It's
yeah,
great.
yours would love it.
That's fabulous.
That backs up to the old golf course, right?
Yes.
So it's, which is,
Which part of Lagoon, right? That one.
It's
Well, it might
actually,
be-
it's
it would be on
not
the north
on the,
end.
it's not on the lagoon itself.
Right.
The lagoon ends here and the property's like right here.
So what's next to it is that neighborhood association, all that property that used to be the golf course now belongs to
Right. EBIA.
DBIA. Okay, so if, for example, that pocket park would be accessible for purchase and the purchase would be approved, could there be a partnership between private and public, the town, to say, okay, this DBIA would allow for X number of parking places to allow that pocket park to be developed? Is that a possibility?
I'd have to look.
Because
don't-
I know municipalities do private
We do it,
public partnerships.
we do it the other way, where we lease out our spaces. I don't know
if I'm reading the tone off of Joy, they're gonna have nothing to do with this.
Right.
But
real-
I
We'll
would
probably
say,
put up a fence.
yeah.
You
I'm not
wouldn't,
kidding
you
you.
wouldn't, you
Well,
wouldn't love
that's
the
fine.
pocket
That lot's
park?
big
No.
enough for.
Really?
Right.
You
I
wouldn't?
mean, it's fine for y'all to have a pocket park. I'm just saying that the Estero Bay Association is most likely, just for liability and a whole bunch of
Yeah.
other reasons,
Oh.
probably not gonna want to have a sharing situation.
Wow.
That's
I
just
think that
Joy's
goes to-
opinion.
That
and-
goes to Ed's
probably
point
right.
of not in my backyard, you know,
Mhm.
kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's not being very neighborly, I bet.
I agree.
I think
Not
that,
neighborly at all.
like with that property, that particular one that's on Lagoon, that property might be big enough for, I mean, you're all talking
Yeah.
about your cardio equipment and your weight training equipment and how it floods all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the town should potentially look at maybe a different location for that equipment where it's up off the ground and maybe not in an area that's so flood prone.
Oh, is it flood prone? I mean.
No, the
oh,
one that
during-
where it is now.
Bay Oaks, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
10 feet from
yeah.
the bay.
Right.
Right.
listen, the entire island is flood
I was
zone.
just thinking the same thing, yeah.
Right.
Well,
We had
Some
initial plans
parts
to
of
build
the-
a brand new one, right?
right?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah. But I mean, some parts of the island are more flood
Right,
prone
like-
than others. Like I got less water during whatever the last one was.
Yeah,
Well,
but those
than
were
you
different,
did.
that was
Right.
different, surges too.
Right, yeah.
You know, 15 feet as compared to 9 feet or something, yes.
But I mean, from where you live to where I live,
Oh,
I had
oh,
less
absolutely.
water
Yeah.
than we did.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Cause that storm hit further north this
Right.
year.
Yep.
This- Yeah, last year. So
Yeah, I
it's
know
such a
there's
blur.
challenges
Okay.
with everything.
All right, I was gonna ask John if he had a comment for at the end.
No, but I'm actually already writing an email to Mayor Allers asking him about clarification on right of way.
Great.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good,
and I'll ask him
thank
if
you.
he'll be in.
All right,
Yeah.
our next meeting now,
Oh, were we gonna add other things to the agenda? I actually have a question.
yeah,
There was,
we need a date and agenda items.
oh, okay, all right, so you wanna do the date first, then? Okay.
Jeff, what are you thinking? April,
Is it the 23rd?
23rd or 24th? Or,
I have it down as the 16th.
The third Wednesday is the 16th.
Probably
Yeah.
Is it the 16th?
Yep, it's on our, the town calendar is the 16th at 12 p.m.
The 16th?
I'm gonna be out of town,
Okay.
so I can zoom in, but,
the 16th,
yeah.
Any other conflicts? That's, is
what
that
time? At
Easter week?
noon?
Well, what we have
It is the
every
week,
month,
it's
let's just say
between the Easter egg hunt and Easter Sunday.
Okay.
at noon, right? Just our regular meeting time. So I just have a question about the, you were talking about the benches, at all of the beach accesses. And I'm concerned about the fact that you mentioned that during the turtle season, those could be hazardous to the turtles. What solutions have been, made by other barrier islands with regard to turtle-friendly benches?
Well, I know
Vegetation in the front, isn't
that's
it?
what, yeah, when we had the two benches at Sterling Access before Ian, there was,
There's a way to do it.
There
It's
was
just we
vegetation
don't have that
everywhere.
infrastructure right now. We're getting there, but not quite yet.
there's
And-
nothing now, like there was a
okay.
lot of vegetation or something.
But when we do the
Okay.
whole berm, when we put vegetation in the berm, that'll cover it.
Okay, so then you get the benches in, and do
And then
you
we can
have
also talk about other things like putting some fitness stuff.
showers or water fountains?
Yeah,
and-
that's some of the busier ones for sure.
Yeah. And those are, is that sort of, each one has its own personality, each beach access, or is there some continuity with regard to what how the
Each-
town approaches all beach access?
Beach access should have obviously the beach access, and then some trash cans, and access to the beach. So it doesn't really have. Some have parking. I think some don't. You know, it just
Some don't, that's correct.
it's just a matter of how it's laid out, how much room we have. I don't think the county has done much on their end on the north side. They run all those, so we haven't done much with that.
Right,
But they're all supposed to have signs marked, you know, the big signs outside, the rules, you know, do's and don'ts on the beach, those kind of signs that we had. We took them down before Ian, so we have them all.
okay, you do
We
have.
just gotta put them back in.
So you've already basically looked at the overall aesthetic of the entrance to these parks as being
Um,
somewhat the same?
Yeah, I mean, we
I guess
can
where I'm
look at, we
going
can
with
look
that
at the
is-
beautification a little bit more,
That's-
cause that was part of CRAB,
Yes.
which I think BORCAB did. BORCAB take?
Don't we,
Not
don't,
officially,
Okay,
yeah.
I think the intent was that BORCAB would be taking control of all the beach accesses after crab.
the
uh,
beautification of it,
Yes, exactly, oh yeah, exactly. So where are we with that? Maybe that could be an agenda item for next
yeah.
week.
You know what, we did just get, cause we need to put vegetation on, Wastina.
Mm-hmm,
That was part of the landscape plan, so I sent that out to get, what would this cost for all accesses? You know, it was a plan that was approved by, you know, Chad, the environmental, and DEP, so once I get that back, we can maybe talk about that next time.
now Wastina,
Wastina Way,
I know, Wastina Way, right. Now that is a town parking lot, right?
Correct.
So in other words, any of us who have a parking sticker can actually park there.
No,
Why is that?
because you can only, if you have a sticker, you can only park under the
Under the
bridge. and the accesses that are not wasting away. Otherwise, you have to pay.
Even though it says town of Fort Myers Beach and
Yes.
not Lee County.
You
Wait,
can't
is it-
park on
I
Old
don't know.
San
Is that-
Carlos.
You cannot park at Old, I thought it was all beach accesses though.
We can
Yeah,
put-
all beach accesses
Okay.
except for wasting away.
Oh, that's why, and why is that?
That, Tom, you watching? I don't know.
I
Let's
don't
put
know
that
what the
on the
rule-
agenda. I was curious about that myself,
Margaritaville.
cause I remember, you're right.
Oh,
Remember
that one I
during-
would
when
make-
we
I
were
would
doing the pool
understand.
road, because I wanted to park there,
I was
right?
under the
Yes.
impression it was because it wasn't really owned, like you can't
Parking?
park at Lindholm
Hmm?
Park, cause it wasn't
Yeah.
a town park.
Christina is ours though.
Yeah,
It's our, it's town owned.
It's
They-
town
they-
owned,
They
but,
donated it to the town.
but you would think that we would be able to use it, but we're not, if we have a beach
Find out.
parking sticker.
Yeah, it
Well,
says
there was
that
a
in there, it should be
moratorium.
beach accesses.
Okay,
after Ian, and that allowed us to park anywhere, so
Right.
I was parking at Wasting Away, but now that that moratorium's sort of gone, you can't park there. I mean, you can, but you have to pay.
Right. Okay. That just seems,
Yeah, we'd have to get, I don't, parking isn't my department.
no,
Lucky for
Well-
you.
Everything else is.
maybe you just let us know. Okay, thank you, Betty, that's all I have.
okay. So we have our next meeting will be on the 16th at noon. And we have a couple items for the agenda.
And I'm gonna start incorporating Neil in a lot more of this, cause he'll eventually be at the meetings,
Mhm.
and not me, so. Next one's yours, no, just kidding, we'll be at the
Okay.
next one.
All right. Well, if there's nothing further to come before us, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I
move
so-
to adjourn. I'll
okay.
second.
It's Ed and Barbara.
Right.
That's okay, it's a good team. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at